Thank you for viewing Group 4's presentation on the 5 dysfunctions of a team. Sarah, Rao, Jesse, Faison, and Jason collectively worked on the analysis of the book, The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, by Patrick Lencioni, and compared it to a real-life company, Motorola. Our presentation is divided into 3 main sections. The first is executive summary. Here, we will give you a background on both the book, The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, and the Motorola Company. The second section is analyzing the 5 dysfunctions of a team and how it relates to the Motorola Company. The last section is the conclusion, where we tie in everything from both the book and the company. Let's get started with the first section, executive summary. Teamwork has become a common theme when organizations talk about competitive advantage. The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team is a story about a CEO that takes over a failing organization during a time of crisis. The book tells us about the journey of a CEO, Catherine Peterson. She took over the company, Decision Tech, whose image had changed to disappointment. The organization consists of 150 employees. Catherine was not exactly qualified for this position, coming from an automotive background, but because of the social relationship she had with the chairman of the board, she was selected as the new CEO of the company. During Catherine's first few weeks as CEO, she did not do anything except observe. She attended as many meetings as she could, and she took lots of notes. The only thing she did was announce a 2-day executive retreat in Napa. Employees at Decision Tech were referred to as the staff. Never were they called the team. The staff were highly educated and intelligent. However, Catherine noticed that their behaviors during meeting was worse than anything she's ever seen. Decisions were never made. There were no real exchange of ideas, and everyone just wanted the meetings to end. It was apparent to her that the staff was not a functioning team. During the executive meeting in Napa, Catherine gave a speech. She stated that the staff was full of capable and knowledgeable people. However, the organization was not functioning as a team. In fact, it was full of dysfunction and chaos. She explained to the team that all she wanted to focus on was effective teamwork. She tells her team that there are 5 dysfunctions that cause teams to fail. Finally, she draws each dysfunction on the board and explains them to them. Our presentation will discuss in detail the 5 dysfunctions Catherine explains in the book and how it relates to the current company which is struggling, Motorola. We will not only identify the dysfunctions, but also talk about ways for Motorola to overcome them. We chose the company Motorola to analyze since they are failing as a company and will benefit from the book's model. Now let's take a closer look at Motorola as a company. Motorola is ultimately in crisis, with drastic changes, questionable acquisitions, failed partnerships, and many job cuts. Motorola is undoubtedly in one of the most competitive markets, the mobile phone industry, with Samsung and Apple dominating the market. It has been downhill since the launch of the iPhone in 2005. Motorola currently holds just 2% of the market and lost $198 million in the first quarter of 2014 alone, and over $1 billion during the time that Google owned them. And just a short few years later, Google is now dumping their $12.9 billion acquisition to Lenovo, just $3 billion. It's been a roller coaster for Motorola's business for the past 2 decades. Moving forward, let's examine Motorola's employees. The question is, how does this dramatic shift from being at the top to crashing so hard impact the employees who work there? Motorola has trimmed down nearly 84% of their workforce since 1995, when they were at the peak with the Razr phone. When Google acquired Motorola, one of the first internal assessments they conducted was an employee morale study. And to nobody's surprise, employees were unsatisfied, given an overall rating of 2.6 out of 5. The list of negatives were mostly revolved around uncertainty of layoffs and poor decision management, lack of strategy and vision, and decision making, which all go back to how the company's teams work together, or in this case, do not work together. Our team began our investigation into the role of the teams played at Motorola and how they can improve their teams for a stronger business. We were fortunate enough to have access to Motorola's employees since a member of our team worked closely with the company from 2006 to 2010, which is the key turning time for Motorola's crash. We began with the assessment questionnaire provided in the 5 Dysfunctions of a Team book. Then we averaged the scoring from 5 Motorola senior personnel. These personnel included the senior brand manager of LATAM and Asia, the director of packaging and development, a senior engineer, and lastly, our team member, who was a senior project manager. As we expected, Motorola's employees rated themselves quite low. Each dysfunctional area is showing a concerning score, with absence of trust at the lowest as noted in the slides. Now we will begin our detailed assessment of each of the 5 dysfunctions. The first dysfunction we will examine is absence of trust. Trust is the foundation of teamwork. In order to be effective, teams need to understand and open up to one another. The book states that great teams do not hold back with one another. They are willing to speak openly and honestly about concerns they have with one another. These types of teams reveal their weaknesses, admit their mistakes, and do not fear repercussions. The concern is that there is invulnerability amongst the team. The leader's role in overcoming this dysfunction is to get the team to demonstrate vulnerability. According to Chicago Magazine, when Motorola was flourishing, there was healthy debate, but when things got bad, there was fighting that they could not come back from. Motorola forgot why we have internal debate. They forgot that internal competition is healthy. It leads to new ideas and motivates the team. We believe that trust is the most important thing when things get bad. That is the time when we need each other the most. We need to challenge each other to take the organization to the next level. Without trust, we turn to damaging arguments, or even worse, silence. When things go bad, that is when we need to maintain the highest level of trust. Teams need trust in order to obtain results. Without trust, there are no results. In order for teams to build trust, they need to make themselves vulnerable. It requires team members to share experiences with one another without fear of judgment. The first way to overcome the absence of trust is a personal history exercise. This is where each team member answers questions about themselves during a meeting. This is very simple to do, and the leader can start with themselves and go around the table. The team effectiveness exercise focuses on members' strengths and weaknesses. This is where you go around the table telling each member what they are really good at and also what they can do for the team. Personality tests allow team members to get a full understanding of what type of person each member is. Doing this will leave long-lasting impressions and will help each other understand why a person is the way they are. In 360-degree feedback, all levels provide feedback to one another. The feedback includes peer-to-peer. The leader of the team has the most important role in creating trust amongst the team. The leader must allow vulnerability. Therefore, they must admit mistakes in order for them to feel comfortable in doing so. The idea of the leader creates an environment that does not punish vulnerability. Next, let's examine fear of conflict. Fear of conflict results from absence of trust, discourages members from engaging in passionate, goal-oriented debates, creates a false sense of harmony leading to tension, and results in failures. On the other hand, teams that engage in productive conflict know the purpose is for a common goal, better possible solution, resolves issues more quickly, comes out of debates without any collateral damage, and eagerness to participate in other issues. It takes time to cultivate powerful habits like healthy conflict. The article concludes, based on interviews with key players at Motorola, that the healthy internal competition degenerated into damaging infighting when the management jettisoned the powerful corporate culture. Innovation was the core strength of Motorola, and infighting took its toll on creativity, as is evident from the article, that did not utilize 3G technology in mobile phones quickly, despite the fact that they already owned patents. The book suggests some steps for teams to overcome fear of conflict. The first and foremost of them is to acknowledge that conflict is productive. Other steps include mining and real-time permission. Mining is the process of digging out buried disagreements and continuing to debate them until the differences are resolved. Real-time permission is cultivating a habit for members to coach one another, not to retreat from healthy debate, and reminding them that conflict they are engaged in is good and necessary. Leaders must restrain from the temptation of protecting members during debates and must encourage healthy conflict to the extent possible. Next, let's take a look at lack of commitment. Motorola is full of tension and conflict, but as we learned, it is unhealthy conflict due to individual prioritization and protection of one's ego versus productive conflict for the benefit of the overall team. Because each employee is out to protect themselves, there is no buy-in to common vision or goals. Common goals are driven from top executives without the input of employees, thus creating less commitment to the end result. Leaders within Motorola are not empowered, thus they cannot be confident in their decisions and look to upper management to direct them. This creates a vast number of insufficiencies that trickle down to each member of the department and impacts the business negatively. There is a clear lack of commitment at Motorola, which is quite surprising for a publicly traded company of its size. Motorola product consumers openly express their frustrations for promises made by the company that never happen. This includes the 2011 upgrade to Zoom. Therefore, many customers turn to the Samsung tablet. Deadline issues go back many years. For example, when Verizon refused to stock a highly anticipated clamshell phone called the V810 in 2011, they missed the Christmas stocking deadline. Nokia took this as an opportunity and their sales peaked. Or the 4G upgrade delay, when many customers and carriers dropped Motorola altogether in 2010. Turning inward, Motorola employees show a lack of commitment due to the high volume turnovers. We know that the workforce has fallen by 83% in the past 2 decades from when Motorola was at its prime, and this leads to commitment struggles. When the Motorola employees were asked about team conferences and team building efforts, each said that they haven't had any for a while, other than the summer picnic and annual forecast meetings that are all sales oriented. There are several exercises that are not currently being conducted at Motorola that can help create buy-in and solidify the commitment of a very weathered staff. Motorola has many years of frustration from disgruntled and unappreciated employees that will need to be undone, so we recommend beginning simply by asking for employees' feedback on the work environment and projects and show that the efforts into improvement are being done. Currently, middle management is not part of most decision making, so to create a shared goal and vision, more of the middle market managers should be included in the decision making. This will provide the department managers with the insight and confidence to lead the team, holding them accountable to deadlines and responsibilities. Now let's take a look at avoidance of accountability. Avoidance of accountability happens in many teams in many different types of organizations. It refers specifically to the willingness of a team member to call their peers on performance or behaviors that might hurt the team. Avoidance of accountability builds an absence of trust, fear of conflict, and lack of commitment. The goal of resolving avoidance of accountability is to hold other team members accountable for their performance or behaviors. Droid Life has reported that Motorola customers have filed a $5 million lawsuit over warranty servicing issues. This is in regards to their current issue of warranty claims for the Moto X Pure Edition and Moto 360. Motorola is taking weeks or even months to repair the phones. It is clear that Motorola is trying to avoid any accountability for their warranty repairs. This results in loss of customer loyalty, hurting the brand's image, and shows that Motorola doesn't back their products. The avoidance of accountability at Motorola will have a long-term negative effect on the company. There are steps to resolve the dysfunction avoidance of accountability. The team members need to use peer pressure, creating a publication of goals and standards, having simple and regular progress reviews, and setting up team rewards. The leader must create a culture of holding others accountable and need to jump in when a team member is not holding others accountable. Using these methods, the team will be on the path of creating an environment where everyone is accountable. Lastly, we will analyze inattention to results. With this dysfunction, achieving results is not possible due to the selfishness of team members. These members are more concerned with their own personal accomplishments and agendas rather than the team's as a whole. The desired results are not outlined for the team, which results in individuals setting their own standards and goals. Thus, this restricts the team from achieving their tasks collectively. It is clear that the board of directors team was paying little attention to the company as a whole. With various high-profile and intelligent members receiving over $500,000 to sit on this board, they were still steadily declining as a company. These members were more focused on their own personal agendas. For example, the highly skilled and smart Indra Nooyi, president of PepsiCo, was on the board for quite some time, but did not contribute as much since she was dealing with her own company, PepsiCo. Acts of selfishness like these only hurt Motorola as a company. Additionally, Head of Human Resources decided to reduce and even eliminate bonuses employees were entitled to after a terrible quarter. This truly decreased motivation for employees to want to work together and create group cohesion. In order to overcome this dysfunction, it is important to keep the team focused on tangible group-oriented goals. This may be done by creating a Gantt chart that specifically addresses each task and its deadline. If there is uncertainty in tasks, teams tend to focus less on group accomplishments. Additionally, rewarding and following through, unlike Motorola, individuals based on team goals and collective success can bring teams together. This can be done through not only monetary rewards, but also luncheons, email recognitions, and letters from upper management. We have now arrived to the conclusion section of our presentation. Here, we will look back at the book, The 5 Dysfunctions of a Team, and relate it back to our own group, Group 4. It takes time to cultivate powerful habits like healthy conflict. The article concludes, based on interviews with key players at Motorola, that the healthy internal competition degenerated into damaging infighting when the management jettisoned the powerful corporate culture. Innovation was the core strength of Motorola, and infighting took its toll on creativity, as is evident from the article, that did not utilize 3G technology in mobile phones quickly, despite the fact that they already owned patents. Thank you for taking the time out to view our presentation on the 5 dysfunctions of a team. We hope you enjoyed it.